So we're here at the BioStock studio at Medical Village, and with me today I have BrainCools, a company focusing on hypothermia or targeted temperature management. Essentially, the idea is to protect the brain in cases of, for example, cardiac arrest and stroke, and they also have products in oncology. So I'm pleased to say welcome to you guys, Martin Waleij, CEO of Swedish BrainCools, and also Troy van der Veur, VP Sales and Support of BrainCools Inc., the US branch. Very welcome. Troy, I'm sure everyone is very curious about you, so why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your role at BrainCools Inc., and maybe something about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do so. Well, as mentioned, I'm fortunate to be the Vice President of Sales and Support for BrainCools Inc. It's a subsidiary in the United States. A bit of my background, I started years ago, actually, in medical finance, which was really a nice opportunity to understand how hospitals work, how their budgets work, and how they function. I also had the privilege of being introduced to many different medical device companies, from anesthesia machines to monitors to pumps. And so I was able to understand and get quite a nice cross-reference across the board. From the medical finance side of things, I went into targeted temperature management with the medical vendor that was at the time the leading vendor in temperature management in the United States. And I worked there for several years. I was fortunate to work not only in the United States, but did some time in Japan and Poland and Brazil with temperature management as well. It's a passion of mine. From temperature management, I moved over to a startup company, Signostics Medical, now called Econos. It's point-of-care ultrasound. This was really a unique opportunity for me to start with a company with 0 sales in a particular territory and grow that opportunity and start to see sales materialize. And so that's been quite a lot of fun. And of course now, for the last 18 months, I've been here with BrainCools Inc., previously as the Director of Business Development, and now, again, fortunate to be Vice President of Sales and Support.
Thank you very much. Martin, so you have sort of reorganized the US branch organization a little bit. Can you tell us about the main reason for doing so?
I think we've started out well in the US, and we built a very strong network of key opinion leaders and references and putting the product at work. But the board and I have followed this closely and come to the conclusion that we needed a different leadership. We should have, and we will have, a clear focus to building sales. And Troy has developed very, very interesting business and projects on the western part of the States. And as he has become an informal leader, the decision is made because we think this will improve business.
Important enough reason. Would you say that Troy's predecessor left the company in November of last year? Why was this change not communicated earlier?
I think it's important to stress we reconcile this with our legal advisors and the stock exchange spotlight markets. Neither Troy or his predecessor is a president or a CEO of the subsidiary. The legal roles in the company is myself and our chairman Jens Kinander. Obviously, an effort in the US is very, very important to BrainCools. So we just saw that as a management change, that we didn't have to report, so we waited until we found the successor. We didn't think also that decision in any way would hurt the business of BrainCools. Opposite.
So, could you briefly describe the current structure of the US organization?
Troy will tell you a little bit more in detail, but we're focusing on the western part and the eastern part and set up a number of important evaluations. Now with Troy independently working on the western part, which we expect to grow, and a focus on the eastern part, we will have a clear focus to close business on the evaluations we started. That's the primary objective of this year, and hopefully also to grow the business in terms of product, in terms of states. But we are focusing with a small team of 5 people to really establish ourselves in 5-6 different US states, and then expand from there and expand the product portfolio.
Okay, so Troy, being on the VP of sales,
Yes.
could you tell us a bit about the BrainCools sales strategy on the US market? For example, current ongoing collaborations or evaluations that I understand is a very important part of the process.
Yes, absolutely. More than happy to. Yes, the evaluation process is integral. It's a very important part of the sales process in the United States. The hospitals will not take your product in most of the time without having tried it out or have heard from another hospital that it works well. And so we have, as mentioned, created a team that's very centralized and focused on the East Coast, several states there, and of course on the West Coast. We spend quite a lot of time taking care of those customers with which we've begun working, and we expect to see those sales transfer here in the year 2020. So we're very excited about that. Part of our strategy, in addition to the evaluations, is beginning to work with GPOs, or group purchasing organizations. These are large organizations that really, I guess their goal is to help hospitals acquire equipment at the best possible price. They are the gatekeepers for many of these hospitals. And so it's quite important for us to create a relationship with them and make sure that we're able to break through those barriers. I'm fortunate and happy to report that we are working with 2 of the largest GPOs at this point, and we hope that those will turn into business as well. Those relationships will turn into business. In addition to that, we are creating an awareness campaign, which we think is really, really important for BrainCool as a brand. We'll be doing what we call a TTM Summit, a Targeted Temperature Management Summit, and we'll do that this April in New York City. We have some very exciting speakers participating in this event. They are key opinion leaders. They have authored hundreds of papers on the topic of temperature management, and more than that, they have quite a nice reach. And so they're able to get us some face time with people that, for lack of a better phrase, matter, that are able to move the needle, so to speak.
So the target audience for this summit,
Yes.
who would that be?
Yeah,
More
fantastic. Physicians who are interested in temperature management, who are looking to understand protocols and how to best implement targeted temperature management, as well as nurse leadership. In the United States, nurse leaders have quite a lot of influence, and they're able to direct their purchasing institutions to equipment that they would like to acquire, and we hope to be in that realm.
So it's the nurses are actually using the products in practice, so to speak. Okay.
Yes.
So could you tell us a bit about the actual sales process? How does BrainCools sell its product?
Yes, yeah. The first thing we do is differentiate. We need to differentiate our product from the competitors. One of the biggest differentiators that we have are our disposables. They're non-adhesive. They're easy to apply, very easy for a nurse to do skin checks, and they're durable. They last the duration of care, the continuum of care for that patient. So differentiators. The sales process, after we've introduced the product, we've differentiated the product, and we've garnered interest, we move to an evaluation. Once the evaluation takes place, and it goes well, as we hope they do, then we start in with the purchasing process. There's a number of committees and subcommittees that need to sign off on the equipment. And then from there we move to the purchase order and receiving the purchase order and then processing. And we'll continue to support via our nursing staff all the way through.
I understand that the actual is in your title also is sales and support.
Yeah.
I understand that the support part is actually a quite crucial part of the sales offer as well. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's one of the reasons we feel like our strategy of specific states on the East Coast as well as the West Coast is really the right way to do it. We are introducing ourselves into accounts that are very large. They are big movers in the United States, and more than that, these are accounts that we can support effectively.
That's a crucial part there. And So you described a few of the strategic moves that you have. You have the ongoing evaluations with the hospitals. You're talking to the GPOs, and you're arranging the TTM summit. What other factors would you say are crucial for BrainCool to going forward in increasing sales?
Yeah, I think part of that comes to our support side of things. So as a strategic idea that we've implemented, we also have per diem nurses. Okay. So per diem nurses are part-time. We're able to utilize them as we expand our reach in various states. For example, we have a per diem nurse now in California. He currently works full-time for one of the hospitals in California, does a tremendous job for them. And in 3 weeks' time, he'll be training a hospital that we start with up in Northern California for BrainCool. That's part of the strategy we are implementing, and we feel that's going to help continue to grow our reach.
And so what about the products? I mean, you are primarily focusing now on selling the iCool system, as it's called in the US, called BrainCool system in Europe. But BrainCool as a company is not a one-product company. It has a broad portfolio. How do you look at the focus of products going forward?
Well, it's exciting. I can tell you that. While at this point we are focused on iCool, that's what is FDA approved in the United States, and that will be our flagship. With the introduction of a couple of other products, oncology in particular, we really feel like that's going to increase the synergies. We'll be able to infiltrate these hospital systems, I believe, more quickly, and we'll be able to diversify and further expand our reach and further expand our work within a hospital system.
And of course, being established as a supplier to a hospital makes it easier to introduce new products as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So with all of the accounts, we've done evaluations. We have some purchases upcoming for the iCool device, which is quite exciting. We will start straight away with those hospitals with the introduction of these other products as they are approved in the United States.
And you actually, it was official today that you had an order from was it
New Mexico?
New Mexico, yeah.
New Mexico,
right.
Yeah.
And as stated in the press release, that was not they didn't do any pre-evaluation of the product.
That's correct. Yeah, so this is an effort, and this is a result rather of our efforts with our evaluations, because word travels. It's a small community, targeted temperature management, and if you perform well during these evaluations with these large hospital centers, people hear about it, and the folks in New Mexico heard about it, and they were excited to bring iCool on board.
That's excellent. Martin, we just briefly mentioned oncology here. Can you give us a short update on what's going on the oncology side of BrainCool?
I think we have two devices that are in de novo 510K process. One is RhinoShield, of course, and the other one is oncology. In oncology, we have completed a large Nordic clinical trial of 180 patients, and we're currently sort of evaluating the data and preparing for a scientific publication, or obviously a presentation. When that is submitted, of course, there's an embargo on the data. We can't share any information before it's released to the scientific community. However, we have, in agreement with the PIs, being able to present the results to the FDA, and we will also make a follow-up presentation to the Japanese PMDA. But in terms of information to the stock market, this is the only thing that will happen the next couple of months.
You cannot share any news about the data until it's been presented at a scientific conference.
Exactly.
Okay. So Troy, wrapping this up, you're in Sweden now, obviously, here with us.
Beautiful,
and it's
beautiful
nice.
country.
You're going back to the US in a couple of days. What will be your immediate focus when you get back to the US market?
Close business.
Close business.
That's what we're there for. Continue to expand our reach, continue to expand the name recognition of BrainCool and the iCool system, with an immediate focus to close business with those hospitals where we've begun evaluations.
And I think it's an obvious question. And so, in terms of increasing sales, what are you hoping for this year, for 2020?
We don't give any financial projections, but one target, obviously, that Troy mentioned is we have set up a number of evaluations, and they should generate a business of 20 systems, around 20 systems. Hopefully, we will get other pockets business, but that is the only sort of the main target we have.
20 systems in 2020 sounds like a plan. Thank
Rock
you.
bottom.
Rock bottom. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And have a safe trip back to the US.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.